Hello. Aloha and welcome, beautiful people. This is Magdalena in another episode of a Touchful Podcast. When I'm recording it, it's evening. I have a cup of cacao that is already half empty. I have another cup with black tea. I even lit a candle today, and I'm in a podcast mood. So I feel like it's a good moment to record another episode. And this one I wanted to be about ideas that kind of revolutionized my life and the way I see life, the way I live life. And there are many of them. And today I chose 4 that I want to share with you. So if you are here for the first time, hello, aloha, and welcome. This is a place, this Touchful Podcast is a place where I share everything that touches me deeply, where I share things connected to my deep passion, which is Hawaiian Lomi Lomi massage, but I also share other things that just simply are alive in me in a given moment. And today it feels like this is alive in me. What I believe in, how I see the world, how I view the world, what shapes the way I approach life and the way I approach relationships. How do I live my life today? Because of course it might change tomorrow. But since this moment is all that exists, which is, by the way, one of the things that I believe in, but not the one that I will be talking about today, I want to focus on now, on this moment. And like I said, I chose 4 things. I don't know how to call them, things, beliefs, ideas, approaches that I have to share. And before I start, I just want to share with you a general idea that maybe you've heard this quote. It's quite a famous quote. I first approached it through Hawaiian huna and Serge Kahili King, and it's a belief that the world is what you think it is. The world is what you think it is. So to me, it means that there is no one truth for everybody, but kind of everybody lives in their own universe, and we believe in different things, and they shape our reality. And I used to believe in this a lot, that the world is what you think it is. Now I kind of like to say that the world is not what you think it is, but it is also not different. The world is not what you think it is, but it is also not different. It is shaped by what we believe in. So again, I kind of feel that it's fun, to me at least, it's fun to take a closer look at what I believe in about myself, about people, about my relationship to the world, about all kinds of little things, because they shape my reality. And it was the other day, I think it was yesterday, when I was talking to a dear friend of mine, and he was sharing some story, and he said that, yeah, because people are like this, and relationships are like this, and it works like this. And he said it with 100% certainty that it is like this, that this is the omnipotent truth. And I was listening to him, and I was like, wow, this is really interesting that in your world it works like this. Because in my world, it's different. I don't believe what you said to be true, that people are like this or relationships are like this. And it doesn't mean that what you said is not true. It just means that in my reality, it works differently. I operate differently. Not better, not worse, just differently. And I'm doing this introduction to kind of remind you that what I will be sharing with you today, these 4 ideas that really revolutionized and changed the way I live, they are not right or wrong. This is not something that you should believe in. I kind of want to throw them at you to maybe challenge you a little bit. Maybe some of them will make you think. Maybe some of them are the ones that you deeply agree with. Maybe some of them will be something that you deeply disagree with. It doesn't make them right or wrong. It doesn't make them good or bad. It doesn't make them correct or incorrect. It's just this, that I want to give you a little bit of a glimpse to how it is to live my life and what shapes my life. And the first thing, I'm gonna start with a pretty revolutionary one, and I wonder how it will land in you when you hear this. So I'm gonna say it in a moment, and this first thing that I deeply believe in, and I want you to check within yourself. Do you agree or you disagree? What kind of reaction it evokes in you? Like, do you want to immediately protest, like, no, this is not true, this is BS? Or are you like deeply like, yeah, I agree, my reality is like this as well? And whatever your reaction will be, again, it's not good or bad, it just is what it is. So this first idea that kind of changed the way I live is that people are innately good. That people are innately good. And before I elaborate on it, I want to start with a quote. I want to recommend a book to you. I think that would be a good start with that. I want to recommend a book to you that was recommended to me exactly about this topic, that people are innately good. The book is by Rutger Bregman. I hope that I pronounce it more or less correctly. And the title of the book is Humankind, A Hopeful History. Humankind, A Hopeful History. Maybe I will put the name of the author and the title in the description of this podcast, of this episode. And a friend of mine recommended it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it a try. I want to check the audiobook, because I am very much into podcasts and very much into audiobooks. I really recently prefer listening over reading. So I checked it on Audible, and it was available, and you can always listen to a sample of a book. And I want to give you the quote from the book, the first, the sample, the first few sentences that I heard and that made me buy this book immediately. So here's the quote. This is a book about a radical idea, one that has long been known to make rulers nervous, an idea denied by religions and ideologies, ignored by the news media and erased from the annals of world's history. At the same time, it's an idea that is legitimized by virtually every branch of science, one that is corroborated by evolution and confirmed by everyday life. An idea so intrinsic to human nature that it gets unnoticed and goes overlooked. If only we have the courage to take it seriously, it is an idea that might just start a revolution and turn society on its head. So what is this radical idea? That most people, deep down, are pretty decent. End of quote. And the moment I heard it, I was like, shut up, take my money, I need this book. This guy wrote a book where he scientifically breaks down this idea that I so deeply believe in my heart, that people are innately good, that deep down, people are pretty decent. He takes this idea, he breaks it down, and he proves it from scientific point of view. I was like, yes, I need to read this. And I genuinely wonder how this idea lands in you. Because I remember a long time ago when I was still on Instagram, I did a poll on Insta stories. And I asked my followers, my viewers, my followers, exactly about this. Do you believe that deep inside people are good? And I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was like maybe like 30% versus 70%, something like this, like a huge difference, where most people answered, no, I don't believe that people are generally good. And, to be fair, I kind of understand it, actually. When you look around, there is so much proof that people are not good. There are many people who are just horrible human beings in the sense that they do horrible things, that they hurt others, that, there's so much injustice and cruelty and just horrible things going in the world. So I absolutely get it that it might be so hard to believe that people are good. But I chose to believe this. And this has changed my life. And before I share a little bit more, I want to give you another quote by my all-time favorite, Brené Brown. And the quote goes like this. All I know is that my life is better when I assume that people are doing their best. It keeps me out of judgment and lets me focus on what is and not what should or could be. End of quote. And this is exactly my approach. I kind of feel that it sort of, in a way, doesn't matter if people are good or bad. It's what I choose to believe in. It's how I choose to see the world and people's actions. And I, Magdalena, personally want to choose that people are doing the best they can. And it helps. It deep in me, it changes something when I don't walk my life with a feeling that everybody around me is an asshole and that they, do horrible things and they do things on purpose and they hurt me on purpose and they hurt other people on purpose and so on and so forth. I feel that there is so much heaviness in this, and this view makes world a horrible place to live. Just feel into this for a moment. Living in a world where people are just horrible beings who do shitty things on purpose to each other. I don't want to live in such world. So I choose to believe that people are innately good and they do the best they can. The other day, I even did a little experiment. I was in this kind of mood when, I don't remember, some things around me happened and then I was in this mood that, world is a horrible place. There is war, there is this, there is that, and just people are so mean to each other and so horrible. But then I remembered that, okay, Magdalena, but you choose to believe that there is goodness, that there is so much goodness. And especially after reading the book that I so much, again, recommend to you, Humankind, A Hopeful History. After reading this book, or listening to it to be precise, that I'm like, yes, there is goodness in people and people are good. And I want to see this in the world. I want to see it today. Today, I choose to see this. And I remember that I was in a public transport. I was in a bus. That was a long 40 minutes ride. And I was just sitting and looking at people with this idea in my heart that people are good, people are helpful, people are not selfish, that we are important to each other. And you know what? And I could see it everywhere. I could see so many little moments when, somebody was running towards the bus, and the bus was about to drive away, and then another passenger hold the door so this person could make it. Or when somebody needed help with a heavy bag and somebody else helped them, or somebody didn't know how to open the door in a bus, and then I was about to stand up and do this for that person, and I didn't have to because 3 other people already helped that person, and that was just in a bus on this 40 minutes ride. So many little proofs that we are good and that we help each other. And the truth is, of course, that if I put different glasses, if I put on the glasses, with the lens of like people are horrible and selfish and, we are just focused on scrolling through our phones and we don't give a flying foo-foo about each other, then probably I would see proofs of this as well. That people are mean to each other, even in the same bus. But it's about what I wanted to see. It is about how I choose to see the world. I hope that you know what I mean. I hope that I'm able to express myself in more or less a clear way. I need a sip of tea. I know it's not something that you should probably say on a podcast. I should just take a sip of tea and then just cut it out, this slurping sound, but to me this talk is a kind of like a natural way, when I just kind of sit and talk to you, and I don't want to edit it and make it special. So yes, I'm taking a sip of tea, another one. So that's the first one. That's my belief. That's how I choose to go through the world. And I kind of almost, challenge the world. I'm like, hey world, prove me right. Show me that there is so much goodness. And I am surrounded by so many amazing people who do the best they can. Sometimes the best they can is really amazing, and sometimes the best they can is kind of shitty. But still, I choose to believe that they're doing the best they can. And like I said, it changes something in me. It is sometimes extremely challenging with so much cruelty happening in the world. It is sometimes so challenging to believe that we are innately good. But still, I choose to do so and not to give up on this idea. And like I said, I wonder how it lands in you. Okay, let's move to another one. So another thing that I believe in and that it challenges, I wanted to say changes, but it actually also challenges the way I live life is, and again, I'm going to say it in a moment, and check with yourself how it lands in you. Is it something that you have immediate yes, immediate no, or you have like, I don't know, I need to check it with myself. So this belief, this idea is that everything is alive. Everything is alive. And it's an interesting one because on one hand, it's something that I feel that it's been with me for a very, very long time. But it was not put so neatly, easily, and simply into this one clean sentence until last month when I went to a Lomi Lomi training in Switzerland. And this was precisely the sentence that the teacher said. Remember that everything is alive. And I had this moment of deep realization in me. I had this like, whoosh. I was like, yeah, this is the sentence that I needed in my life. This is something that I kind of had a feeling and believed in, and I didn't know how to put it into this one simple sentence. So you might be familiar with the idea that everything is connected with everything, or that we are all connected. And by the way, it's another thing that I believe in and that shapes my reality and the way I choose to connect to people. So the idea that everything is alive is kind of a little bit similar. So when I mean that everything is alive, this is exactly what I mean. So not just, people, animals, plants, elements of nature like stones and, water and fire and all kinds of these things. Not only this, but literally everything is alive. The floor that I'm sitting on right now is alive. The microphone that I'm speaking to is alive. My clothes that I have on me are alive. The cup that I'm holding is alive. The cacao is alive. The computer screen that I'm looking on right now is alive. Everything is alive. And in a way, I feel that it's a tricky one because, at least to me, there are moments when it's a tricky one because when I hear alive, my mind immediately jumps into the conclusion that something has some sort of a consciousness or is able to think or feel to some extent. Like, when you think that animals are alive or plants are alive, or even when I think about water or stones that are alive, it's kind of like a little bit easier for my mind to tap into this idea. Okay, they are alive. But I kind of feel how my mind is protesting when I say that the microphone is alive or that the cup that I'm holding is alive. So I have a lot of fun with this belief. And to me, believing that it's alive, it means, let me feel into it. Let me feel into the clothes on me that are alive. Or maybe do it yourself and see how difficult or how easy it is for you, what it changes for you. I kind of like these episodes to be a little bit interactive, so I want to invite you into doing all kinds of little things every now and then. So tap into this idea that everything is alive. The clothes that you have on, the chair or the floor that you sit on, or I know that some of you listen to me when you ride a bike or you go for a walk. So look around you and land your eyes, this is not a correct English, I think, but look at the things that are around you and literally everything is alive. I look right now at my ukulele and my violin. By the way, I'm learning to play the violin. This is so much fun. All the books that I have here, the sofa, the wardrobe, my plants, everything is alive. And what I personally immediately start to feel in myself is having much more respect and reverence for life itself, and B, I have this feeling of being much more present, much more mindful, in a sense that really being more in this moment. And this is what I love about this idea. When the floor is alive, when I remember that the floor is alive, I walk on the floor differently. Because ultimately, the way I feel it, it's a reminder for me that I am alive. I am so alive. I am so alive in this moment. When I remember that the clothes that I have on me are alive, it immediately changes the way I move, changes the way I feel the touch of the clothes on my body, on my skin. When I remember that the cup that I'm holding is alive, it somehow brings me so much gratitude to the person who made it. When I remember that the microphone is alive, I kind of immediately start to feel that, okay, it's gonna sound crazy, but I'm gonna say it, kind of immediately feel that the microphone is supporting me right now in recording this episode, and so on and so forth. So if this idea feels completely revolutionary to you, I invite you to play with it a little bit, to give yourself a chance to tap into this idea that everything is alive. Because it's something that cannot be proved right or wrong. It's just a matter of what you believe in. So, for a moment, for next 5 minutes or for the whole day, tap into this idea that everything that you can see, everything that you can touch, everything that is around you, everything that you can smell, everything that you can taste, everything that you can look at, everything that you can feel, that all this is alive. And just check what it changes in you. And then let me know. Send me a message. You have my email in the description of this episode, and I always encourage you to contact me and share your thoughts about all kinds of things that I share in these episodes. So right now I invite you, share with me your experience of tapping into this idea that everything is alive. I remember I mentioned that the way that it was put in this sentence, in these words, it comes from my last Lomi training, from the teacher. And one of the contexts that she used it to remind us was when she said, remember that the sheet is alive. And she meant the massage sheet that we were using during the massage. And when I kind of tuned into the feeling that the massage sheet is alive, it not only completely changed the way I moved the sheet, it not only changed the way I felt the sheet, it changed everything sort of about that Lomi session that I was giving, because I felt, probably because, about this first belief that I mentioned, that I believe that people are innately good. This is part of a bigger idea that I believe that world is innately a good place. So when I tapped into this idea that the massage sheet is alive, I had a feeling that the massage sheet is supporting me so much during the whole process of massage. And I very often do it now when I do Lomi. I remind myself that the massage sheet is alive, that the massage oil that I use is alive, that the massage bench that you lay down on, that it's alive, that everything is alive, and everything, the whole world, the whole life of everything is sort of meeting the life in me and supporting the life in me. I'm going to leave you with this here, with this idea. And I hope that you will play with it and see what it does to you. Number 3 that I want to share with you today, it is again inspired by Lomi Lomi, by my Lomi path, by the Hawaiian massage that I practice. And again, I'm going to say it, and you allow yourself to feel into it, how it lands in you, what it does to you. So this is an idea that there is always a yes. There is always a yes. And this is a quote from Kahu Abraham Kawai, who was the keeper of the knowledge of the Lomi Lomi lineage that I practice. So if you are into Hawaiian Lomi massage, or if you've been with me for quite some time, you probably know that there are different types of Lomi and different styles of Lomi, different lineages, different traditions, that Lomi Lomi is not one type of massage, that there are probably literally hundreds of them. And I have knowledge about a couple of different lineages and practice in a couple of different lineages, but the one that I feel deeply called by and connected to is the lineage of Kahu Abraham Kawai. And this was one of his teachings that he shared with his students, that there is always a yes. And again, when I think about it, I feel that since I chose to believe in this, my life has changed, that this idea has changed my life. And what I mean by saying that there is always a yes, I mean that the world, the universe, whatever you want to call it, always gives me a yes. And I, especially in these moments when I feel a no. So when I feel that something doesn't work out, when I feel a lot of resistance in something, in some kind of a project that I do, in my work, in my private life, in some kind of relationship that I am in, if there is some sort of friction, tension, if I feel that I need to push through, if there is a lot of obstacles coming up in my life, so I have this feeling of a constant no, this doesn't work, it's so hard, it's horrible, and it's this constant no that is being thrown at me. I have a lot of this recently in some particular part of my life, that I feel a lot of resistance. I feel a lot of this like kind of like, you know, as if somebody put grains of sand into this perfect mechanism of life. And it would be so easy for me to tap into the conclusion that this is just no, it just doesn't work. But what I try to do, of course I sometimes fail, but what I try to do and what I try to remember is that there is always a yes. And when I receive a no, when I have a feeling that something doesn't work out, that there is a resistance there, there is a yes under this no. There is an information for me in this. And I kind of think about water now. Think about water, the flow of water. I feel that the water is just the perfect embodiment of this rule, that there is always a yes. That when a water flows and it meets an obstacle, it just kind of gracefully goes around into the place where there is yes, when the flow is easy. And I kind of choose, I don't know if it's the right word, I want to live my life like this, like water, kind of like flowing, and instead of fixating on something that doesn't work and feeling that, you know, my ass is constantly being kicked, I'm like, okay, where is the yes in this? I clearly feel that there is a no, but in this no, there is a yes. What is a yes? Another thing that I remember now is that many years ago when I studied NVC, so nonviolent communication, and we were learning about it's a specific, again, way of approaching life, NVC, specific way of communication that I have a feeling that really has changed me and shaped me. And I remember that the words that the teacher said, I don't remember quote unquote, but the sense of it was that when you say no to something, you always say yes to something else. So an easy example, when I say no to seeing you or meeting you, it's because I say yes to spending time in a different way, to spending time with myself or spending time with somebody else. I'm not quite sure why it came up right now, but I kind of feel that it's connected with us, that every no brings a different yes. There is always a yes. There is always a way that life flows, because life is endless, life is eternal. Even if I am dead at some point, and I believe that still there is a yes in this, that there is always a yes. And when I tune into this feeling, it brings me, when I kind of like feel it in the body, it brings a lot of softness. It brings a lot of this, again, these watery qualities. It brings a lot of trust. It brings a lot of feeling of being taken care of. it reminds me that I don't need to push through. I don't need to fight so hard and just try so hard and bang my head on a wall. Sometimes what I need to do is just stop banging my head on a wall for a moment, then turn a little bit and see that there is an easier path. I hope that to some extent you kind of get what I mean and that it makes sense to you. A perfect embodied example of this idea that there is always a yes is the Hawaiian Lomi Lomi massage that I do. So the idea of this massage is that I never go against you. I never go against your body. I never do something against your body, because that would bring you pain. That would bring pain to your body, and this is not what I want. This is not the idea of this massage. So the way Lomi works, those of you who come to Lomi with me, or you had experience with Lomi with somebody else, many of people who experience Lomi, they kind of feel this watery qualities in it. And again, it's because I'm looking for a yes in your body. Like, you should see me right now. I'm kind of, my arms are immediately starting to do the Lomi moves, this kind of like watery moves when I'm slowly or faster kind of like exploring the landscape of your body and checking with my own body, with my own feeling, where is the yes, where is the opening, where does your body tell me, here is a yes, go deeper, here is a yes. And when I feel a no from your body, so I feel a resistance, I feel that the door is shut, I'm like, okay, here is a no. I'm not gonna push through, because then I'm going to hurt you. So I just move to another place, slowly, gracefully, like water, slowly or fast, looking for another opening, looking for a yes. This is especially a big thing when I do the techniques that are called rotations. So again, if you've been to a Lomi with me, you know this deep moment in the massage when I rotate your arms and rotate your legs. And sometimes when I teach Lomi and we do the rotations, I get questions from my students, okay, but how to do them on somebody with a very limited mobility, somebody who is very tight, and I cannot go so deep as you are showing me right now. And my answer is exactly the same. You just look for where the body is telling you yes. And sometimes this yes is an extremely deep rotation. Sometimes it's just a tiny, teeny one because of the amount of tension that are held in the body. But quoting Abraham again, the Hawaiian master of Lomi Lomi, Hawaiian kahuna, there is always a yes. So look for a yes in the body and just go into that yes, just naturally tap into that yes like water. And then the massage somehow sort of happens on its own. And that's my favorite thing about Lomi, that it's so effortless and it happens on its own when I don't push through, when I don't try to force something. And many times in this podcast, in different episodes, I mentioned that Lomi teaches me a lot about life. And I feel that this is the quality that I adapted from Lomi into life, actually. That there is always a yes. If I feel resistance here, I don't want to push through, because that would be breaking, damaging, hurting. I want to take a deep breath and find the opening, check the opening. And it's very easy for me to do it in Lomi. It comes naturally. It comes also from my experience, but it's just, I feel that it's sort of this natural quality of the body, that the body wants to feel good. The body looks for openings and of this flow and of this yes that comes deeply from the muscles and joints and tissues. So in Lomi, it's very natural for me. In life, it's not always so easy, simply because the mind gets in the way. And the minds have all kinds of its own ideas about how things should be. And the moment I start to overthink, are usually the moments when I start to feel completely disconnected from this natural flow of life, and I start to really push through and try different ideas that they don't do me good. But the moment I release the mind, sort of, and tune into, okay, where is the yes? Where is the yes? Again, you should see me right now. I'm like, my eyes are closed and I'm literally using my arms, moving them to the sides as if I wanted to check, where is the yes? Where is the yes? So I'm going to leave you with this one here. And again, you can take it or leave it. You can try to experiment with it and see how it works for you and in your life, or you can choose like that, no, it doesn't make sense, I don't believe this to be true, I don't take it, and it's fine. And then the final one, the final idea that I want to share with you today, I kind of already mentioned it a little bit, but I want to elaborate on it and explain it because it's a huge one, and it's kind of a recent one that only recently I started to live my life from this perspective. And again, like with the previous three, I'm going to say it and you can tap into it, you can feel it, and just allow yourself to feel the natural reaction, the initial reaction that comes from your body. Do you have an immediate yes? Or do you have an immediate no? Before the mind turns on and tries to do the logical part. So this final idea that I want to share with you today is that I don't have it as nicely and neatly put into one sentence as in the previous ones, but it's an idea that the mind sits on the passenger's seat in life. And it might sound very weird, so let me elaborate on that. What I mean by that is that the life is not driven by the mind. And again, it's something that I've been feeling for quite some time, especially since I started to do the body work, when the mind literally has nothing to do in Lomi. It's just something like I need to put my mind aside in order to be able to do Lomi from the place of the body, or even kind of like deeper from the place of something that I call the great unknown. So it's something that I've been feeling for quite some time, but I kind of didn't know how to put it in words. And this idea that the mind is on a passenger seat, the first time I met this idea in these words, in this form, or in like this, was from one of my teachers of human design. Human design is a system that has revolutionized my life, and maybe one day I should do a whole episode about human design and how discovering my design has completely changed the way I live my life. But for now, I just want to mention that this comes from one of my human design teachers. And of all the four that I mentioned, this one is the most, I don't want to say difficult, but kind of the one that is, I sometimes have kind of difficulty remembering that, or not even remembering that, living that, embodying that, because this is an embodied idea that you don't need to have everything figured out. And your mind, as beautiful as it is, really has no capacity to be the driver of your life. So when I like to imagine the car, and I sometimes imagine the mind being a 5-year-old, and sure, you can put a 5-year-old behind the steering wheel and tell them to drive, but then don't be surprised when immediately something happens, that, there is an accident or you bump into something. It's simply because this 5-year-old is not capable of driving the car. It should not be driving the car. And that's how sometimes I feel and I see the mind. It's a beautiful part of me as a whole. It's a fantastic tool, but it's exactly what it is. It's a tool. So I want to put the mind, my mind, on the passenger's seat where it belongs, where it can just look through the window and gather information about the world and analyze it and, process the data. This is what the mind is really for, and it's really great at. It's a fantastic tool, but it's a horrible master, and it's a horrible driver, absolutely horrible driver if you really put it on the driver's seat of your life. Then I kind of feel that what happens is that you rob yourself of the experience of the great unknown. Because you might ask then, okay, if not the mind is driving this car, the life, then what it is? And my answer, when I feel into it, and by this I mean that, I put the mind aside, and I sort of, again, you should see me right now, I'm kind of like moving my body, feeling my breath, and kind of like trying to find the answer in me. And I feel that it's exactly this, that what drives life is... At first I wanted to say the body, but it's not even the body. It's this something that is even deeper. It's this kind of... I want to call it the great unknown. Or sometimes in the episodes, it's something that I used to call the ordinary magic. And by the way, if you want to know a little bit more about how I see the mind and the body and the emotions and the spirit, there is a really beautiful episode that I did on that, about 4 layers or levels of massage and layers of reality, when I elaborate more on that. Because it's a huge one. It's a huge thing for me. Because I was this person that I used to call myself a big mind on tiny legs. I would be very much in my head all the time, completely disconnected from the body. And ultimately, when you are in your mind all the time, I feel that what happens, this is what happened to me, is that I was completely disconnected from life, from feeling alive. Because this is not the mind's role to make you feel alive. Again, mind is about analyzing, drawing conclusions, gathering the data, connecting the dots. All this is what mind is really good at. But it's not going to make you feel alive. It's when you, again, take the mind from the driver's seat, put it on passenger seat where you belong, and you tap into the aliveness, the life itself. Then the way I feel it, I'm kind of so desperately feeling that the words are not enough. Not only that English is not my first language, so I always struggle with it a little bit, but even if I was speaking to it in my mother tongue, I still feel that words would be not enough, because it's something that is beyond the words, something that is under, something that is this... I almost want to use the word divine current of life. And I firmly believe that the way we can tap into this, the way we can connect with this, and the way we can put it on the driver's seat is through the body. But it's not the body, it's something greater. But I feel that the body is the gate into it, into tapping to something that is, it feels like the field of infinite possibilities. It feels like the life living itself. And that's it. I feel that that's what I wanted to share with you tonight, because like I said, it's an evening when I record this. I could go on and on. But then I kind of would be repeating myself. So I want to leave you here with with these 4 ideas, 4 beliefs that kind of really change and challenge often the way I live life, the way I connect to people, the way I connect to myself, the way I think about work, the way I think about money, the way I think about relationships, friendships and romantic relationships, the way I feel the nature, the way I feel other people, or everything that is happening in the world. Oh wow, I'm just seeing now that, wow, it's quite a long episode. I had a feeling that, yeah, it would be a quick one, just, half an hour, but as always, I just really like talking. So we ended up with almost 1 hour, more than 50 minutes of an episode. So again, I'm gonna stop here, and I encourage you to maybe do a little bit of a check up with yourself. What do you believe in? What is your world about? How do you see the world? Remembering that this is just how you see it. This is not how it is. This is your truth, and this is your universe, your unique universe, the way you see the world. Drop me a line if there is anything that you want to share after today's episode. If there is something that you deeply agree or deeply disagree, drop me a line. You have my email in the description of this episode. Okay, I love you dearly. Thank you so much for hanging out with me in this, as always, a little bit chaotic but a very truthful episode. And you will hear from me again in another episode of Touchful Podcast. Bye bye. Aloha.